Good day, CRUCIAN Mahogany here, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to talk more about why a menstrual cycle is protection for you as a woman. This is coming from a perspective that maybe you're not aware of. We're going to have clips from this anthropologist letting us know about how the males of our species can be quite invasive in the way they come at the young and those who are ovulating. The guys want to get women who are ovulating and sometimes even pre-ovulation. This is the ideology of a lot of places on this planet. As soon as a girl is ovulating, she's a woman now and she's ready for a male to procreate with her. Their ideal goal is to implant themselves into another body, and they will do it at any cost. They will do it by force, by manipulation, yes, for sure, by consent, but that's the ultimate goal. Keep listening, keep watching.
Actual signals. I'm going to talk about menstruation as a signal now. And we have the evidence in modern human bodies, our own bodies, of these signals. And we can infer that those signals are likely to be part of earlier Homo mating systems as well. First of all, we do not show ovulation, or we certainly don't make it very clear to the men in our lives, if we have men in our lives, when we're ovulating.
Did you hear that? We can see in nature there's a lot of animals that when they go into heat, it's well known. For humans, we don't do that. Our ovulation time is hidden. It's hidden for a reason.
And there's a very, very good reason for that. That if a male knows exactly when a female is going to be fertile, then okay, he can just turn up, wham bam, thank you ma'am, and then he can go off and find the next one. And it's quite clear that all that we've been talking about, cooperative childcare, human females and their ancestors have for a long time been evolving to get males involved in reproduction in ways that they aren't amongst great apes. So fathers in human cultures can go from zero to hero. They have an incredible variability in the amount that they contribute, but if females want males to hang around, concealing ovulation is a very good way to make them hang around because they don't know exactly when a female might be.
My theory is that for a very long time, we have been trying to domesticate the male and allow them the opportunity to participate with us in civilization. You will see that males have all times been willing and ready to come and take over the control of the mind of the woman, the control of the body of the woman. A lot of them feel entitled to have their way with women all over the planet. This is global. Again, my theory is that we've been trying to domesticate them in order to give them a chance to participate with us versus leaving them out in the cold and them to come and attack every so often. We're like, okay, let's see if we could get you guys to control these urges you have. We'll give you women so that you can have what you want. But it's like a bottomless pit. Therefore, our bodies have evolved to create processes that are able to protect us as women from those invasions. Sex was a way to come up with some sort of compromise between invasion and consent, but our bodies themselves, our bodies have protected the ovulation cycle, kept it secluded so that it's not so easily identifiable, but doesn't stop man's nature. So what can we do?
And if you combine that with continuous sexual receptivity, then you're really confusing him. You're scrambling information to males about exactly when you're fertile. You're keeping him hanging around. The more he hangs around and actually sort of makes himself useful and hangs around, the more chances he actually gets of being the daddy. So that's kind of works for both sides. So if a male is useful, then kind of everyone wants one, and concealing ovulation, having lots of sex is a good way to keep hold of one. But, or maybe we differ on that, We don't have to do this.
You can see that is her theory. Maybe if we conceal our ovulation, it will keep them around, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't. We see all around us that that's not the case. Males still want to have as many chances to put their cells into as many bodies as possible. That is just their nature. That's just what they're going to do. So whether we had the idea that that could change how they behaved or we were wrong, just a theory.
What that leaves is a system where we're not showing the time of ovulation. We are confusing the issue of whether we want sex or not. We can say yes or we can say no. Menstruation now, and we are the champion. We are producing a lot of we are menstruating a lot compared to great apes, a number of times, and also we menstruate very salient quantities. And now menstruation is left. It's a cue that the female is not pregnant. It is pretty clearly showing to a male that the female's not pregnant, but it is also telling him she can become pregnant in the near future. And they're going to work that out pretty quickly. So menstruation is now, from this point of view, an extremely powerful signal. If we're in a Darwinian world where males are seeking females to fertilize and trying to gain reproductive success, if that's our world for the evolution of genus Homo, then no male can ignore this signal of menstruation. It's very powerful. It's telling him, out of a population of females that are pregnant, that are breastfeeding or menopausal, the ones who are menstruating, well, if you're going to focus, if you're going to try and attract anyone's attention, if you're going to bring flowers and chocolates, it will be to those girls, okay? They are the ones to target.
As you may have heard her say, target, and target is actually the word I would use as well. I tell you, when you've gotten a certain age, we only want young women. They want to be the first in line, even though they will still have intercourse with you as you age. Don't get that twisted. But when they talk about their preferences, you will hear them say they want somebody young, somebody whose mind is not developed enough to know their intentions, who's pliable. Really what it means is they need an ovulating woman. They need a woman with whom they can implant themselves to copy themselves. And that's what they're looking for. And the younger the better.
So we're going to get a situation in genus Homo evolution where amongst the female circles, amongst the females who are, some of them, in most populations, only about a third, we saw the figures actually, less than a third are menstrual at any one time. It's more like 15% or something, are menstrual at any one time. So the other females not showing menstrual cycles, this is potentially a cause of serious conflict and disruption. A female who is menstruating would use that signal to attract attention. If she wants to attract attention from any particular male for whatever reason, she can do that. And that may well have been the case amongst Homo erectus kind of early stages of this very prominent menstrual signaling. And so these females might be relatives and friends of each other, but any one female menstruating whilst the others are pregnant, she's possibly going to take investment away that those pregnant and breastfeeding females need. So this is a potential source of conflict. And amongst the males, it's a potential source of conflict that they are likely to be competitive for any female who's menstruating to get attention to her. So menstruation becomes this signal, very powerful, and also potentially going to divide the society, going to cause problems of disruption. Okay, these are friends and relatives of a girl who's menstruating for the first time or the second time or whatever. She's starting to menstruate at a young age. What do? Well, the last thing you want is for those males to grab her, take her anywhere. So you've got to protect her. get control to make sure that she stays with you, she doesn't get taken off by some male on safari.
So what you will see in that first diagram, I'll put the diagram here so you can see it, is that you see a menstruating woman in the center, and then on either side are non-menstruating women, and you'll see that the triangles, which are the males, are all triangulating towards that menstruating woman or girl, because this could be a young girl who has just began to menstruate, so this is still a child. It can cause conflict for sure, because now you have all these males focusing in on this menstruating child. Those other two bubbles, those other four bubbles, were the other women protecting that young girl from all of these invaders that were coming to come and take her body. That could be a potential conflict within the society, absolutely, for sure, coming in to take advantage of this young girl in order to impregnate her. And as we see how invasive a pregnancy is, how invasive that process is, and how long you are in that process of development in the womb, as well as the aftercare of having children, we looked at it as not a conflict between the women or between the girls, but as a protective measure, again, in order to prevent the invader from coming in.
There are basically two things you can do. You can try and hide the fact she's menstruating, or do something quite different. And this is the cosmetic strategy, where all the females bond together, join together, and demonstrate with cosmetic means, using maybe in the first place things like animal blood or any kind of colour, red berry juice or something, demonstrate that they're menstruating to the males, and in the meantime, the actual menstrual females kind of in amongst them, and the males there are portraying them as being kind of puzzled. That isn't really what's going on with that. The males are very, very interested in this fantastic display, cosmetic display by the females. Males who are willing to be investors, to do work for females, will be interested in cooperating with these cosmetically decorated females.
And here's another diagram showing the zigzags between all of the girls or women. Two at the top with a menstruating one in the center, the two at the bottom. But in this diagram, it is showing that in order to confuse the males, again as a protective measure, all the women act as though they're all menstruating. Not menstruating, or are they menstruating? They don't have a clue. I think this is where biology came in, even for herself, even for many women, they don't know when they're ovulating. Another protective measure against being invaded and having to go through the rigorous and life-threatening process of pregnancy, whether by nature or by nurture. Protection was the main point to make sure that this young woman was not taken advantage of by force.
Many women in this room believe they have experience of menstrual synchrony. Most of the women, it might be easier to ask how many don't think so. It's at least a majority. I think it's a majority. Okay. There is a beautiful study by a woman called Brienne Fars, who looked into women's, this is in, where is it, Indiana? I can't remember exactly now, in the middle America somewhere. And she's showing that women very strongly believe that they link up with menstrual synchrony with their friends or women that they feel very, it's linked to.
And so we come to this point where we talk about how many of us, although scientists, as she's going to explain to you, refute this idea that we sync up our cycles. When you are around certain people, like your close friends, your close relatives that are also women, that your cycles kind of sync up and get into the same alignment, no matter who started where, however it goes, somehow. Nature makes it so that our cycles actually happen at the same time. Do you experience that? Have you experienced that? I know I have. Is this also another protective measure. So now you have all of us having our cycles at the same time together. As mentioned in the previous slide, as I said, all of them line up so that you don't know which one is which. You don't know what's happening. The males don't know what's happening, so that they won't have the opportunity to come and advance into where they don't belong.
And that this is a kind of body expression of their solidarity, of their emotional connection, and most of all, their solidarity against all the scientists who refuse to believe it exists. And currently the state of the science is that all these studies which have shown existence of synchrony are statistically flawed, and that there is no scientific proof, and rather there's deproof. That yes, there will be certain amount of random overlapping of menstrual cycles, but that any tendency of a group of women who is cycling at sort of different times, tending towards synchronizing, it just doesn't, it's not, it's all in the mind.
Now you might be saying, well, Crucian Mahogany, why are you saying all this stuff, and why you think it's such a big deal? Why you think it's such an adverse relationship between us? Why you think it's invader versus protection and all of these things, right? You may be thinking that to yourself. I'm going to go and play this video, a video that explains why I'm coming from this perspective. Okay, this may also not be something you are aware of. If you are, let me know in the comments. I don't think most of us are aware of this, but that the fact is that there's always and always will be a sexual conflict between males and females. That's just what it is. It is in nature, it is innate. It is just what it is. And if you really sit and process the way that you as a woman or a male that you know or have encountered approaches this idea of having sex and procreation, you will see the differences in how we go about it. So let me play this video. I may come back in between, but take a look.
To pass their genes along to the next generation, most animals need a partner. So in one sense, mating is cooperative, with each partner contributing half their DNA to the offspring. But mating also involves plenty of competition between the sexes. That's because both males and females are hardwired to try to make babies that can survive and reproduce. But they do this in totally different ways that actually threaten the other sex's genetic legacy. For males, it's all about quantity. Sperm are easy to mass produce, and most males spend little time or energy parenting, so their best mating strategy is to breed in bulk. The more offspring they have, the better the odds that some will thrive. For most females, this strategy doesn't work because they have a limited supply of eggs and spend lots of time and energy caring for their young. Instead, females want to make sure that they can get the best dad for every one of their offspring.
So as you can see so far, maybe you have the insight to see that there's just a total difference in how we go after our selection of our procreating abilities. Males want to put their thing everywhere, whereas the woman or the female of the species is going to be way more selective. And as you'll see as we go further in the video, we can become quite creative in how we do this. Take a look.
Some choose only to mate with the biggest, flashiest, or best behaved males. Others mate with multiple males and then choose a winner. Chickens, for instance, can selectively squirt out sperm from subpar suitors. But the pickier females are, the tougher it is for the average male to make babies. So males have evolved ways to limit females' discretion. In some species, males take their mates through brute force, while males in other species take the slightly less unsavory approach of obsessively following their mates around to keep other suitors away. Male squirrels try to ensure fidelity by plugging females' reproductive tracts with a fluid that hardens after sex, creating a sort of biological chastity belt. And male fruit flies go even further. Along with their sperm, they release a chemical cocktail that deactivates other sperm, stimulates ovulation, and kills their partner's future sex drive with an anti-aphrodisiac. In response, females develop counter strategies to regain the upper hand, or wing, or paw. Some female squirrels, for instance, have figured out how to pluck out their chastity plugs. And in other species like ducks and hyenas, females have evolved maze-like reproductive tracts that require their full cooperation to navigate. Males evolve in response, and the sexual arms race keeps escalating, which explains why some ducks have penises that look like this.
Now, for those of you who have not watched my semen series or Penis Killing You Softly series, you may not understand what I'm talking about. But even in the human species, you see this video is depicting animals, but we are also animals. We are mammals. We are part of nature, and the way that nature does things is applicable to us as well. And as you may have learned in my Penis Killing You Softly series, seminary fluid does just what this video is depicting. It lessens the woman's responses to invaders. So it has evolved in order to subdue her system, to allow for semen and sperm to enter and to be in a place where it can implant itself and create that parasite, which we call children. So don't think that this is just in the animal species. Don't think that this is just some haphazard thing that I'm talking about. This is very serious. And this is why it's super important to know a little bit more about how your body works, how things work in reality, so that you can make better decisions as far as when you are going to procreate, if you are going to procreate, why you want to procreate, and the precautions you need to take to make sure that you're safe in doing so, and choosing the right partners in order to do so. Because not only do we think, oh, do I want the guy that's, always hounding me? No, you have to be very selective in who you choose, and then also be very aware that this guy may not stick around. So you need a community. You need a community of people, of women who can help you in the after process. Once you have the child and you came through that process successfully, you're going to need a community of people to assist you in rearing that child. So this is a very big decision that most of us do not consider. Most of you do not think past one night of fun. And that's a disgrace.
In general, the more promiscuous a species' males are, the choosier the females, and the more intense the sexual arms race. On the other hand, in species in which partners tend to have longer-term relationships and raise offspring together, like Homo sapiens, reproductive success for one partner also means success for the other. So the two sexes' baby-making strategies line up more closely. But even the possibility of non-monogamy is enough to spark some subtle subterfuge. Although seemingly romantic, a wedding ring is really just a gilded form of guarding our mate.
That's right, ladies. A wedding ring is a way to ward off potential competitors, potential invaders. Oh my goodness. It is a way to get control over your mind and your body. These are also things that you want to consider when thinking about marriage. Marriage, procreation, it is not a must. It is not by force. It is not something that you must do because you're a woman. No. You do have the choice. But it's a choice that should be an informed choice, a choice that should be well comprehended, well thought through, well processed. It's a mature choice. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something today. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about these videos. Let me know if you knew all of this information. Let me know if you thought of things this way. Whether you did or whether you didn't. Did you learn something that you didn't know? Did you learn something new? Leave a comment below. Please like the video. Give it a thumbs up for me, please, so that more people can be aware of what we go through as women. Please subscribe to the channel. I shall be back with more videos soon. I'll talk to you later.